This is all my stuff. And where am I off to this time? Spain, to walk the way of St. James, or the Camino de Santiago. My first hop was from Miami to London, and then to Biarritz for the train to the tiny town of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, France, my official starting point for the Camino. The next day, I greeted my volunteer from San Francisco. The following day, we set out early. The plan was to hike over the mountain rather than around it.
How many hours has it been?
1.
It became apparent that Shawnee was carrying way too much gear as her knees started to give out. The Camino is a 900-kilometer or 600-mile pilgrimage across northern Spain. The way follows an ancient route west to the cathedral at Santiago de Compostela. The trail was braved as far back as the 10th century to visit the bones of St. James. Our short day ends at Roncesvalles. Only 9 kilometers as the crow flies, or 26 if you include the mountain. By the second day, I was already looking for new volunteers.
Hey, where are we?
We're in Roncesvalles. I slept for 4 hours.
Well, that's more than 3.
Exactly, I'm getting there.
I finished the second day comfortably and had made some new friends along the way.
Soylent Green, you know what that is?
Like fertilizer?
No, it's people with food. When the plankton dies, they make little biscuits called Soylent Green. But they're made out of humans.
That's disgusting.
Well, they started with pilgrims, but when they ran out of pilgrims, oh, you girls are pilgrims. Can I show you the factory? Said the spider to the fly.
That sounds interesting.
The girls agreed to provide some historical context.
It's a church.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, geez, yeah, she's a natural. Now,
Anyway, and they also dedicated this church to San Pedro,
and who is he?
one of the 4 saints.
Okay. There's only...
Cut!
By the end of the third day, I had a new cast. On day 4, we started from Zibiri, only 874 kilometers to go. That day's target was Pamplona. The town is famous for the running of the bulls, an episode for another day.
So it took us 2 more hours than planned. Well, let's go in.
Yeah, what do you stand out in the sun for?
Pilgrim accommodation is free or a small donation, 5 or 6 euros. The next day I found Shawnee at the post office.
I need to give my knees a little break right now. I'm just gonna wait and see how my legs feel and take it day by day.
With Shawnee out of the race, I hitched my saddle to a few different wagons. Was educated and administered to by Marcus. Walking can be such a pain, and every day ends in a pilgrim meal and some wine, of course.
Prost.
Skål.
My next day was cut short as my camera failed. So I caught a bus back to Pamplona in search of a repair shop. No luck, so I had to switch to my backup camera. It was now shaky cam time. Why is it called the Way of St. James, you ask? St. James, or Santiago, was one of Jesus' apostles who in 44 AD was beheaded by Herod Agrippa. His body was then secretly brought to Spain and buried 20 kilometers inland and then forgotten.
It's not working.
Every day I met more cool people, and always more wine.
Ugh, tastes like water. That's pretty good wine.
In 1813, a Christian hermit discovered the ancient bones of St. James at the Compostela, or Compostela. When the king, Alfonso II, visited the site, he was so inspired that he built a chapel and declared Santiago the patron saint of Spain.
What was your first day's kilometers?
49.
49 kilometers. And your second day?
38.
And your third day?
21.
And injuries didn't slow down the flow of wine and camaraderie. The refugios came in all shapes and sizes. But let's not forget that Spain was not always saintly. Cutting off Muslim heads seemed quite popular.
Wow, another church on a hill. What's that round thing behind you?
I have no idea.
By day 9, quite a few people had dropped out, but not all. 10 days into the pilgrimage, I'd only covered 150 kilometers of the required 900. What was I to do? We were all dealing with different levels of foot sores and heavy backpacks.
I think mine's a little bit heavier. Yeah.
I needed to walk more and party less. Did I say party less?
Is that Ricky? Oh, it's really bright out here.
And I'd fallen in with a wacky group. But not everyone walks the Camino. It's okay to ride a bike also.
Have you noticed that all these have like walled-in, fenced-in cemeteries?
Yeah, why is
Because people are dying to get in.
In the year 1189, Pope Alexander III declared Santiago de Compostela a holy city, along with Jerusalem and Rome.
What color is the White House?
White. Obviously.
Who is buried in Grant's tomb?
Grant.
No, he's Horace. Everybody knows that. Don't you know American history?
No.
So why walk the pilgrimage, you might wonder? Under Pope Alexander III's edict, a pilgrim who walks to the city gets their allotted time in purgatory cut in half. What is half of eternity?
In memory of Count Diego Porcelos, the founder, according to tradition, rest here.
So it's a crypt.
The sun was starting to make me a little wacky.
3 or 4 peanuts in the same shell. Never seen that before. I'm really, really tired. And my feet are really, really sore. I am whooped.
But wait, the pilgrims have an even better deal. If a pilgrim reaches the city in a holy year, they serve no time in purgatory at all, 100% absolved.
First pilgrims, 800,000-year-old man at this place, discovered in the caves.
And let's not forget about symbolism. And they say that video games are too violent. These are all symbols to the glory of the Crusades and a successful public relations campaign. Wahoo! Made it to Burgos. Let's celebrate. 268 kilometers so far. Just over 600 more to go. Almost a third of the way there. I'm out early today for a long hot day.
He's got a cool casual look about him. That's really cool. I don't even know what to call it. Oh, it's cold! Where am I? Somewhere in Spain. 80 degrees in the shade. Almost 100 in the sun.
And day after day, more churches, more symbols, and more sunshine.
That could have been the devil. Devil.
No.
Yeah! I read Coelho's book.
And you don't have to look hard for symbols. The symbols for the Illuminati are easy to spot.
I could see riding from the Netherlands here to Santiago, but I wouldn't ride back.
Much has been written about the Camino, and Coelho contributed his share as well. The girls set the day's grueling pace. They pushed on until late in the night. Arriving late at night, we slept in a kiddie playground, and I opted to sleep late the next day.
Man, we're looking at 19, 20 more days. I don't have 19 or 20 more days. This church also contains a tomb of a couple of Templars, which is very unusual since Templars didn't usually get buried in tombs. They were buried in simple graves, unmarked, face down.
More characters.
It's an awfully heavy Bible over there.
Ricky's an atheist. Like, we were hanging out talking about God and like just culture and stuff with him until like I was out there till 3 in the morning with him, like, you know, pounding some beers and talking to him about stuff.
Charlemagne's troops dug their lances into the ground, and the next morning the lances grew leaves, which is a bad omen. It's the omen that says that they will be martyrs.
I feel free as a bird.
This is a little bird. Shady pilgrim spot.
Who builds a pool in a desert? A smart businessman, obviously. No more slacking. I need to pick up my pace and cover more ground. Hobbitville, underground homes. How strange.
I'm not a cyclist, I am a walker with a bicycle.
When I originally met Philip, he was suffering major foot problems. I reached Lyon in time for another party, and very little sleep. Great. Lyon was a party town when I arrived. And the next morning I left early, since I wasn't getting any sleep anyway.
How was your sleep last night?
Don't speak about it.
1,400 hours. Oh, this is smart. That's a postcard picture right there.
At 8:30 we were at it again. This far into the Camino, the pilgrims were becoming much more focused and determined. It seems cathedral builders were well employed in the old days, as well as Disney castle builders.
And I am walking, for those of you that can't tell, underneath an umbrella, because it is really, really hot and hot and hot out here.
In the Middle Ages, this was a thriving town offering shelter to pilgrims. Today, only 2 people live here as it crumbles to dust. This is a creepy place, the home of a ghost. In 1987, the European Union declared the Camino Europe's first cultural itinerary, as did UNESCO.
I can get there awful thirsty, but I'll get there.
You may have noticed that the pilgrims now are carrying very little, and that's because they've figured out the less you carry, the better your progress.
This winery right here sells you wine by the glass or by the bottle, either way.
In this strange town, the refugio was more of a commune than a hostel. Communal meals, no getting up before 7 a.m., my kind of place.
2 wet and bedraggled kittens.
Yes. Yeah.
The next morning I took the high road over the pass.
Almost crested, but listen to this.
And they say it's okay to live under power lines. The route winds its way through small towns.
More Templar signs. I'm continuing another 6 clicks to next Alberg.
That statue speaks volumes on this windy road.
We've reached the limit of today. Hospital.
Day 25 and over 2/3 of the way there. Yes. We're past the 2/3 mark and I feel like those guys. Officially, you have to start 200 kilometers or more from Santiago to be an official pilgrim.
All right, 100-kilometer mark. 3 to 4 days to go.
At the 100-kilometer mark, I noticed that way more people have joined the fray. This is an artificial lake. Damn, they flooded the valley to make electricity in 1962. So the village was moved up the hill, but not the church. Churches seem always to be in the know. A rustic refugio showing a rustic film.
Day 28 and the Swiss guys are still in the race.
Pasli ovce valaši, pri betlemskej salaši, hajdom, hajdom, tidlidom, hajdom, hajdom, tidlidom.
Look at my stick.
Cool.
Another character joins the cast. This girl has a pent-up desire to deface objects.
How long have you been carrying that garlic?
1 month.
I stopped early on the prior day so I could time my arrival for the 4th of July. An easy date to remember. I felt so inspired that I even attended Mass for the first time in many, many years. And over the next few days, the cast slowly began to arrive. We hugged, we kissed, and we rejoiced.
Welcome!
But wait, what about my get out of purgatory pass? The definition of a pilgrimage is to go on a journey and return changed. Has something changed in your life?
I've got a sock tan.
And I had changed on the inside. And to remind myself of that change, I got a tattoo.